The title of this podcast is The Effect of the Practice on My Relationships. I've talked about this before that I am blessed to have so many friends who are doing the practice or a version of the practice that informs how they move through life, how they show up, and how they serve. And it is something special when you have people that can support you, that can guide you, that can inspire you to be your best. And there are so many examples of my friends doing that when I've been on off the path and they kind of guide me back. They don't give me agreement or my narratives. It's a beautiful thing when people care that much about you. It's almost like a workout buddy that you make this commitment to show up and work out and you don't want to go, but they're outside parked at your house at 5 in the morning and they won't lay off the horn until you come out to get in the car. Like there's something about that. There's something about that when you get into a narrative about how things have been wrong, they ask you to consider seeing it a different way. Like, or as I like to say to my friends when they're doing those kinds of things, and we all do them, and they are considering responding in a way that will only lead to more suffering. All I say is, well, that's one way to do it. And we smile, and that guides us back to get on the path. But there's one example that happened this week that I want to share just a little bit about that makes me smile, that really demonstrates the effect of the practice on my relationships. Every Wednesday morning, I hold a workout session for many of my friends to come in and work out. It's all guys, and they come in and they work out. And typically I get here, I'm the first one here most of the time, or my friend Ian is outside waiting for me. And then Ian will come in, I'll ask him a question, how he's doing. He always greets you with the best hug. I'll ask him a question, how he's doing. And sometimes like, oh, everything's great. And sometimes you say it's great, but you can tell in the tone that, there's some work to do. There's something that is not quite right. And so this past week there was an example of that. And Ian began to share with me and he was commenting on how easy it was to share these things with me and be vulnerable. Things that something he normally wouldn't do with another guy. And I told him, you're like, hey, the reason it's easy because like I'm vulnerable with everybody, like male, female, young, old, doesn't matter. I'm vulnerable with everyone. I got nothing to protect. And in respect to that, nothing that I'm trying to save, you know. And so we can have these authentic, very open conversations and provide that safe space for us to really be our best self, for us to be our conscious self, for us to be our true self. And so Ian, as he's sharing this with me, I'm telling him about an exercise that I think will help him in this situation at work. But I go on to tell him like why I designed the exercise, and it has to do with peer-to-peer conflict or needing to have a very difficult conversation with a person who makes it difficult to have the conversation. And I told him that's how I used to be, so I designed this exercise. I've shared it with quite a few people, and they've gotten benefit out of it. And so Ian wanted to learn more. Then the other guys started to come in, and as they were coming in, I can see Ian kind of like become silent with the conversation. And I tell him, hey, we can have this conversation in front of these guys too. We've had many of these before. You just haven't, you weren't around. I had it one-on-one, but they've used exercise and they could tell you. And so my friend John and Matt are telling, and Tim are telling Ian about the power of this exercise and how much it's helped them. Because none of us in that room in our former, before the practice or before the exercise, really liked to deal with conflict. I mean, I'm not sure about John, but Tim Matt and myself, avoidance was the management style that we used with conflict. And that only delayed suffering and oftentimes led to more suffering. And so John shared about how powerful the exercise was for him and that it helped him see things from a completely different perspective. Matt shared the same thing, and so did Tim. And as I watched Ian be moved by this because he hadn't seen guys have this kind of open conversation, and still, that mutual respect that, that the guys often have for each other, that somehow along the way we think is broken down or is diminished when guys share what they're really feeling or thinking or the things that are challenging for them, outside of work. And that's further from the truth. What it does, in my opinion, is it helps you connect with the humanity of the other person in a very deep way. And so that you can really help each other grow. And I'm very fortunate to have those kinds of relationships. But the talk that we had this past week and previous weeks in this kind of way is the result of the practice. It's the positive, valuable, or invaluable effects of the practice. It does that. And I wish more people had this in their lives because I think it could be really helpful. I'm fortunate that the guys who I get to hang out with, work out with, that they have in their lives and we have each other, at least during this season of our lives, to really be inspired by and to grow together and help each other grow. So it's powerful. Um, yeah, I can't say enough about these guys. We really show up for each other. So you come in for a workout and you get a whole lot more just by showing up, a lot more. And what you get is you get community, you get support, love, inspiration. And as everyone walks out, I mean, first of all, the way that we greet each other in the morning when we come in, everyone is genuinely happy to see each other, which is cool. Then we go about the business of putting up some weight and working out hard. But during that time, we're also exercising. We're doing an exercise and being present, being conscious, and serving each other. How cool is that? Not just, throwing weight around. We're doing a lot more than that. We are letting go our lower self to really be present for the moment in front of us and making incredible gains in a very conscious way. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I don't know what your workouts are like. I don't know what your conversations with your friends are like, whether it's book club or something else. But the conversations that I have with my friends, especially on that Wednesday, are special. And I am incredibly grateful for these guys that I get to spend that time with and have these kind of conversations. It's really, really cool.